Hello and welcome to episode 152 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right. Just a couple of regular dudes drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client MTG Arena.
Oh, Jeff, we got more new cards to talk about. As
Woo!
as always, the new cards never stop.
It certainly feels that way.
Yeah, it really does. As well as we do have a tournament that we need to discuss as well. But before we get into that, each week we bring a beer, we drink it, we rate it on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. And with that, Jeff, what is on tap?
All right, this week we have a beer called Ducks. It is an IPA from, well done, from Burdock Brewery, which is a brewery in Toronto that wasn't too far from where I lived when I was there. It's kind of in the West End, little west of where I lived, basically. But yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff there. So when I
Hmm.
saw this make its way a little further out, I picked it up and I'm excited to try this one. I think mostly what I've tried from them is like sours in that
Yeah,
kind of category. So
yeah. We haven't done a lot of their beers because most of them are in these little cans.
yeah,
Yeah.
womp womp.
Mac mac.
Yeah,
Anyway, Jeff, let's crack these open and see what's happening.
let's
Here we
do
go.
it. They 6.3% IPA, by the way.
Hmm. All right, we have some magic news. Arena Championship number 5 was this weekend. And it was Murders at Karloff Manor Limited as well as Explorer Constructed, which is basically Arena's version of Pioneer.
Mhm.
And well, there's no spoilers in sports. So congratulations to Tony Ramus Pascal.
Well done.
Yay!
Well
Great job.
done. I believe I had one prediction for this tournament. Didn't
What
I?
was.
I made a single declaration about
Oh,
this tournament.
oh, I forgot all about that.
I had to hold myself accountable on this one.
Yeah,
I said one prediction. I didn't know who was going to win. I didn't know what was going to win. But I said that Is It Phoenix would not win.
right. And Tony was playing Is It Phoenix?
Of course he was.
Yeah. Was that the only Is It Phoenix in the top 8 or were there two? I actually can't remember.
I'd have to look that up. It's the only one that played on camera in the top eight. There may have been like a
Yes,
secret quarterfinals match that happened in the background that
that
the
we.
Phoenix player lost.
Mhm.
But I was feeling so confident when I checked the metagame breakdown, and only four players had brought Phoenix, and there were a ton of people on vampires, which is presumably supposed to be good against Phoenix, is the reason you bring it.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, phew, I don't have to have egg on my face next episode. There's almost no way a Phoenix player wins this. And then watching the top eight and just watching Tony kind of steamroll everyone. I mean,
Mhm.
that sounds like he got lucky or so. He played really, really tight. The
Yes.
games were excellent. Steamroll is the wrong word, but he sort of crushed. He played extremely well and
Yeah.
rolled through the top eight. And so, yeah, congratulations, Tony. But did you have to do it with Phoenix? It's the one thing I said. One thing Phoenix is not going to win.
Oh yeah, there were five Rakdos Vampire decks in the top 8. So
Yeah.
there was the one Phoenix deck, and then the other person who made it to the finals wasn't a Rakdos Vampires deck either. It was Ryan Condon. They were on Quintorius combo. So that was
Yes.
our final, which heavily favors Is It Phoenix, I would think, in the sideboarded games.
Yeah. Post board for sure.
Yeah, which luckily for Tony, there are more sideboarded games than there are non-sideboarded games, so that does work out. But even thinking about the matchup and like watching them, it felt very, very close the entire time. Like
Oh
every
yeah.
game felt very, very close. And so when people are saying like, "Oh well, you know, Phoenix has all like the counter spells after you get to side out stuff, and is one of the decks that can combat the combo deck.
Right.
I don't know. It seemed like those games took a really long time, and
And you were always so even though I had picked Phoenix, the one thing I said was Phoenix was not going to win, right? I
yeah,
found myself rooting for Phoenix in that finals
I did.
because
Yeah.
uh I don't know, he was sort of set up as the hero a little bit. You're kind of watching from Tony's perspective,
Yes.
and I think I have a natural sort of dislike for those sort of one card combo decks where they literally just sit there and ramp and then
Play a
slam
card.
one card and win.
Hmm.
And your whole game plan is to try and kill them before that happens and
Hmm.
put them off balance just enough that they can't do that. So I didn't really want Quintorius to win just from the selfish perspective of I didn't want to have to play against Quintorius a lot when
Yeah.
I play Explorer. Um, but yeah, I would say like from that perspective of wanting being on Tony's side in some sense,
Hmm.
I felt very nervous the whole time because the other deck can just slam one card and win the game. And they had Cavern of Souls, which meant Tony's real way to stop it is to just counter it
Hmm.
because his clock's usually not fast enough to stop kill them by turn 6.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
your
Turn five,
plan
turn
is
six,
to
or
counter it.
four.
But if it's a creature, there's a chance it can't be countered. And then there are some creatures that don't necessarily kill you out of that deck, like Garuda,
Hmm.
but who have a good shot at killing you.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that kind of thing happening where, um, is very, very tight. And the whole time I was kind of on the edge of my seat being like, whoa, how's this going to shake out? Is after all this, is it just going to be like Garuda backdoors into a
Into the
Carnosaur, which like hits the Quintorius and just
and
kills?
goes down all the chains. Yeah, because
Yeah,
basically how the deck works, if you don't know it, Quintorius just discovers four, and you go discover for a clone. Primarily, you want Spark Double because then you can copy the Planeswalker, which then gets to do it again. And then each time you do that, when you have more Quintoriuses, you get to deal two damage to
Quintorii.
yes Quintorii. Every time you cast a spell from exile, which that's what Quintorius does with Discover, you get to deal damage to your opponent, and that's how you win the game. So you literally just hit Quintorius and then slam, 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 slam. It was actually pretty interesting. Um, Ryan, after the tournament, was explaining the deck because so Ryan and then Ethan Sachs were also on this. So Ethan Sachs is from Lords of Limited,
Hmm.
and them together, I think they might have been the only Quintorius players. They were really gung ho about it. There were only 32 people in the tournament altogether, so it was
Right.
quite small. Um, but there's this cool graphic. I forgot to share it with you, but it's just a table breakdown of what Ryan and Ethan had put together, or maybe someone else as well was making this table for them. But basically, it's just like how much damage can you do with how many different copycats are still in your deck.
Yeah.
And this is just something that like I just didn't really think about building this type of table. But it's like if all the copycats are in their deck and all this like four spark doubles are there, there's a 67% chance that you're going to deal 42 damage. And then it's like,
Right.
all right,
Yeah.
but if there's four copycats left in the deck, but only two spark doubles are left, there's a 50% chance you're going to deal 20 damage and a 17% chance you're going to deal 10 damage. And so, like,
Yeah.
trying to weigh it's like, okay, I drew too many spark doubles, and so they're not in my deck anymore. And now, if I play this, what are the chances that I actually like fully
Right.
win, or do I have to do something else to get there? Um, so there is obviously a lot more that goes into it with like doing all the different math with like, okay, if I Carnosaur, then I really need to hit this thing so that this happens, and then you know, hitting um what's the other clone, the whatever the other clone is.
Impersonator.
Yeah,
Clever
the clever
impersonator.
impersonator. That one doesn't make the copy not legendary, so then you don't get to keep doing. You like get to go hit another spark double, but you miss some damage while you're doing that.
Right.
Um, and it like if you hit that one first, you lose a bunch of damage. So depending
And
on if you,
you still get a Quintorius trigger or whatever, but you don't get the stacking Quintorius that.
yeah,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
future, you don't get the Quintorius like sitting on the battlefield that helps the newer clones.
Hmm.
Um, and so if you're playing against someone like Amalia, who maybe you're able to stop them or they just gain a bunch of life or something, you do actually need to know all this stuff. So
Yeah, I do wonder what the deck does against like if you manage to stop an Amalia. They did the combo, but then you managed to deal with the
right,
Amalia. Like they're at 158 life or something now.
yeah,
So you just kind
it's
of
like,
combo off, deal your 50, and then
and then
what do you try to untap with like 5 Quintorii or
I
whatever on
guess,
the
and then
battlefield? Is that the game plan?
you just make a bunch of spirits and then attack them. But
Like
like,
like the last one you just don't discover with or whatever, and
yeah,
you make a 3/2.
I guess I don't know. It
Try to
depends.
get a bunch of Carnosaurs or something. I don't know.
Like that sounds pretty interesting. That was the last deck in the top eight actually. Malia combo was in the top eight. Um,
Yeah, it
I'm
seems
pretty
like
sure.
Amalia combo may have had a bad weekend just from looking at just a single copy in the top eight that got eliminated
Squashed.
immediately.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that I mean, and when I said like a one card just wins the game, it's good you brought up the math behind it because it's there's more to it than that. I don't want to
Hmm.
imply that, Ryan didn't play well or didn't have a lot of
No,
skill
no, of
to get
course not.
there.
Of course not.
There was even a situation where he basically read his opponent's hand for pretty much exactly what he had
Hmm.
and ended up making the play of playing Cavern on like horror or something, whatever Gyruda is, and then
Yes.
playing the Gyruda off it instead of going for the Quintorius win because of there was a negate. And instead of going for Carnosaur because there was a Aether Gust and Gyruda can't get Aether Gusted.
Hmm.
And so he read his opponent for Counterspell plus Aether Gust, which
Yeah.
meant the only way through that was Cavern of Souls, making Gyruda uncounterable, and go for
Hmm.
Gyruda, and then hope that it brings back something that now can't be countered because it's like the Gyruda's trigger.
Hmm.
Um, it's still, I think, like I'm not sure what the exact line there that he was seeing was, because I think like a Carnosaur gets Aether Gusted or whatever,
Hmm.
but off the battlefield. But it's still a pretty cool play to see that he basically, it's cool from my perspective, and I have full information. He had no information other than the way his opponent was playing to tell him that that must be his hand.
Yeah.
So I thought Ryan played it really, really well.
Yeah. Ryan, they played really well, and
Yeah.
they I don't know. It it was the kind of thing where I was in between watching both Tony and Ryan being like, these are both decks I'm not playing. I usually don't play them. But now
Right.
I kind of want to, and I wasn't rooting for Quintivorius combo until the final match actually because I was like,
Yeah.
well, now that they're saying that Ryan's an underdog, I want them to win.
Right.
I
This is the classic.
Yeah,
Whoever's the underdog is who I'm
of
pulling for.
course. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about the most, which is so funny. Um,
Yeah.
just like please, 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 please. Um,
It's like as the advantage bar swings, so does Zach's allegiance, but in the opposite way of the advantage bar.
yeah, exactly. So that's that's basically.
It's just always disappointed.
Oh man. But yeah, I also, well, actually, I was rooting for Arne Huschenbett to actually get farther. Arne was able to make it to the top eight. I don't
Pretty good.
know. Yeah, which is really great. Of like a 32-person tournament, Arne was playing Rakdos Vampires,
Yeah.
but got swiftly kicked out by Tony in the first round in the quarterfinals. So then I was searching for a new person to like look be excited for. Because then Tony then took on David Inglis and got rid of him as well. It was another
Right.
player I was looking at, so it was like, damn, okay, maybe I gotta really pay attention to this Tony guy. I was like, holy shit. Um,
So here's my question. So yeah, Tony's been around these things a few times. Like this is not his first
yes, I think for
Mythic
me,
Championship
I
or
have
Arena
not.
Championship.
like they haven't been on my radar.
Hmm.
So he is. It's just really great to see, and it's always fun to see someone who wins who you haven't. They have like if we have where Simon Nielsen wins and stuff, it's just like, okay, yeah, I know this guy. Like he's crazy,
Yeah,
but it's cool. Like even
player
hearing,
literally the favorite to win the tournament.
yeah, of course. Um, but even Ryan, like they're talking online about like, all they wanted to do was be able to like qualify for the world championship. Like I just want to be able to qualify for the next tournament. They were very calm and humble and they did exactly what they wanted to do. They didn't win the
Right,
tournament, but now they're on Twitter being like, shit, I gotta buy Magic cards like in paper. Like I
right,
have
yeah,
to
like
figure out what I'm gonna play for the world championship of
yeah.
Magic.
You talk about losing the finals, and sure, I'm not sure what exactly the difference in prize was, a few $1,000s,
It was
but
$10,000 difference. But
that was the difference.
yeah.
But like the payout is still what, $10,000 and a world championship invite or something like.
Yeah.
Ryan didn't do too shabby.
No, yeah. Like first place was $30,000 and then second place was $20,000.
Okay,
So
yeah. I don't think Ryan's too upset about
no, no, no,
losing
not at
that
all.
final.
Just like they're just playing for $10,000 at
You're on
that
the
point.
gravy train at that point.
Exactly.
Like
You're
it's
so on the gravy train. It's like, hey, we're both in the world championship. Like we're
yeah.
just can I just give this to you? You give me 5,000 and
Do you want to
we're
just
cool.
split it
Yeah.
25-25? Yeah.
Oh God.
It should be
Um,
like 30 to the loser because the winner gets the notoriety and
the
fame of
glory.
having won the tournament. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. That's totally how like tournament players work in their mind. They're
Yeah, yeah,
like,
for sure.
No, I think I want the more
Yeah,
money, please."
take the 10 grand.
Yeah,
Um,
the
but
ten
you brought
grand
up a
league.
point of Tony beating Arnett and David Inglis, which by the way is like the two biggest names in the bracket. So
Yes.
they did not have an easy run here.
No.
But my question is this, okay? So Rakdos Vampires, my understanding of it is that it is edged Rakdos sort of mid-range out of the metagame because it is better against Phoenix.
Mm-mm.
That's not how that felt.
Mm-mm.
Or maybe not. Maybe it's better than Rakdos mid-range against Phoenix, but it didn't feel favored against Phoenix. Watching Tony kind of dismantle it a little bit, it felt like you're just trying to high roll. The only way you beat Phoenix is to high roll them with a
Mm-hmm.
turn three Vein Ripper and hope they don't have an answer.
Yeah,
Why is this deck so popular if it doesn't do the one thing it's
it was
supposed
supposed
to
to do.
do?
That's true. I mean,
And
like,
in the hands of like the best players in the tournament too.
mhm.
Now it's probably also against one of the best players in the tournament on the Phoenix side. But like you talk about conversion here, five in the top eight, but the tournament was pretty much half vampires.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
And
actually
a
important to
lot of
say. Yeah.
a lot of the best players in the room were on the deck as well, because essentially like the team came up with this list. It was a
Mm-hmm.
very and not only that, this list was playing what's the stupid 6/6 that
Archfiend of the
kills you?
Dross. Yeah.
Archfiend of the Dross, which again is a nod to Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like this card is just so good we play it. That is
It
this
has
card is
6
difficult for
toughness.
Phoenix to deal with.
Yeah, it's a
Nothing in
flying
their deck
creature.
kills it and it
Mm-hmm.
flies. And so if you're even going so far as to include that piece of hot garbage in your deck in order to shore up the Phoenix matchup, what do you do when Tony just beats your whole team off that list, that the anti-Phoenix list?
Yeah.
At what point are we just saying we should just play Phoenix?
Yeah. Also, at the end of it, Arna lost because he could
Because of that, I loved
his that
that.
card. Yeah,
That
yeah.
that made me so happy. I love Arna. I
Hmm.
don't want to see him lose, but seeing that card lose the game made me very happy.
Yeah, so that's why Arna lost is because Archfiend of the Dross.
And
It's
even a
a
vampire.
it's not a
If it was a
vampire.
vampire, I could maybe buy
It's
it.
a Phyrexian horror, and it's a
It's
4 mana 6/6 flyer that like whenever your opponent their creature dies, they lose 2 life, and then after 3 4 turns, you lose the game because you lose all your oil counters on your Phyrexian horror. Um, but I mean, Arna did draw the go for the throat, so he could have like blocked, killed his own Archfiend of the Dross, and survived another turn to lose just from another attack. But It
I
was.
thought like Tony ended up top decking another Phoenix, so no matter what, Arna was dead because they needed to kill, they needed to block and kill an attacker.
Yes.
Where the way it was before the Phoenix was top decked is what you're like they could block and then target their own
Yeah, I
Archfiend.
think what the situation was is that Arna had decided to attack with Archfiend because they were like, I just like they have to have another thing. I could try to block, but if they top deck something, then I'm still dead or dead the next turn. So that ended up
Yeah.
being what happened. Either that or that was the one where anyway, I can't really exactly remember the specifics of it, but
But
that was
Tony
funny.
was playing defensively so as not to punt,
Yes.
knowing that Arno was just going to lose the game to this thing.
Yeah, because all you have to do is chump that thing a few times, especially
Yeah,
when that was the game where Tony had like all the little fairies.
right.
It was like
And
all the adventure creatures. Yeah.
that's the thing. I don't understand how that doesn't happen more often because all you need is like two chump blockers, maybe
Mhm.
one.
And
On
then
paper, you need one, right? And in practice, you probably need two.
mhm,
And then they lose the game to their own card.
Arching, yeah.
So I don't totally understand the inclusion of that card. But I think my main point here is just that if Rakdos Vampires doesn't even beat Phoenix, we should just be playing Phoenix, right? Like
Yeah.
I was a little surprised by the metagame of this tournament being so heavy on Rakdos Vampires. I thought we'd see a bit more innovation. I think everyone came maybe with the expectation that Phoenix was going to be the most present deck, and then
And
everyone came sort of pre-boarded against Phoenix, and then only four people were brave enough to just bring that deck, and it's
mhm.
still just one.
Yeah.
Phoenix still just won. So,
It's
uh,
true.
and I think if somebody had brought traditional Rakdos midrange, I think that deck would trounce vampires
Hmm.
because it just doesn't care about you turboing out a big creature.
Yeah.
So, like, they have so many ways to kill Vein Ripper that, and there were times where I'm just watching, the Quintorius deck, and I'm like, well, like, traditional Rakdos isn't that scared of Quintorius because we play like four Bone Crushers, which disrupt
Hmm.
the combo. And
Yeah.
we just play so many ways to Thought Seizes and so many ways. Everything in our deck disrupts that combo. So, and I've played against Quintorius fair amount in Explorer. It was the hot deck for the thing that fed into this. Was it this tournament that it fed into? Or anyways,
Uh
feeds an arena championship. One of the qualifier weekends was
yeah.
Explorer.
Hmm.
And I had a deep run in that, so I played against Quintorius a lot. And I lost the first match because I punted because I didn't understand what their deck was. That's literally the first match of the
Hmm.
whole event. But after that, I was like, oh, okay, so just like hold up a Bone Crusher at all times, or a, you know, removal spell
Hmm.
at all times, and the combo just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
Then their copy just like dies.
right, like the combo is actually just a waste of a turn. It's like a
Hmm.
2-for-1 for you.
Yeah.
So I actually think if somebody just brought good old fashioned, like, and I admit to having huge bias towards this deck, but if someone brought good old fashioned Rakdos, they might have had an easy time with this metagame because I like the Amalia matchup, I like the Quintorius matchup, and you would have had to dodge Phoenix because I think that's why it's sort of fallen out of favor, is Phoenix is
Hmm.
tough. I don't think Phoenix is impossible, but it's tough. But nobody brought Phoenix, so like you might have had an easy top eight on that one,
Yeah.
as long as you can draft, I guess.
The only other like Rakdos deck that came was Rakdos Sacrifice
Right.
that did not do very well. Um,
I'm assuming that was Logan Nettles.
it was not Logan Nettles
Oh,
actually.
okay.
It was Marko Kosovic.
Hmm.
Um,
I thought Logan was qualified for this, and so I know that he loves Rakdos Sacrifice and Explorer and Pioneer, but
yeah, let's see. I don't know what's Logan Nettles like username again.
Jabberwocky.
Oh right, Jabberwocky. How could I forget that? That's such a like iconic name. Um, currently can't find his standings. As I'm just like quickly looking through everything, but
Oh, you know what? I was assuming he's qualified for this because I played against him in day two. He was my one loss, and that was it at like 4, 5, and 0 or something. So I assumed he went the rest of the way, but that feeds for the next one,
Right, 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 right.
not
So
this
not
one.
for this one. So
Yeah,
we'll be looking forward to seeing him in future ones. But anyway, that's probably enough tournament talk. That's just funny to see, like Jeff was saying. Is it Phoenix?
just
Not,
play classic Rakdos, folks. You'll trounce
yeah.
all these decks, no problem, as
Mhm.
long as you take out those dang darn bank busters. Stop playing 4 bank busters. No wonder the deck seems bad.
Yeah, you should be playing Maze Mind Tome instead.
Yeah, it's just like clearly superior.
I actually think Fire Shoes said that on Twitter literally this last week. Basically, just being like, you get more shots of finding the combo, and that's why you should play it instead. If you're playing Rakdos Vampires,
Oh, in Vampires
in
maybe,
Vampires,
but
not in mid range. Sorry,
I don't think you should be playing either in Vampires. But
I know, I
I don't think you should be
know.
playing either ever. But
Yeah,
yeah, in
you should
traditional Rakdos, you should probably just play Smuggler's Copter
you
in
should
that.
just play a split, just like two, like
2 of each. You know what? Actually, just
two,
4 of each.
yeah,
4 Maze Mind Tome, 4
four.
Reckoner Bankbuster.
That way, you always get one in
Yeah.
your opening hand.
You're always spending all your mana to just draw extra cards and not actually do anything
Yeah.
in a aggro deck.
Oh, anyway, Jeff, let's talk about some new cards. We got new cards up the wazoo.
Yeah.
Um, wow. So the the actual like cards that are out, we have like we talked a lot about them last week and all the different versions of different things. But this week we just kind of want to focus on two different types of cards that are coming in the booster packs.
Yeah. Jeez.
Um, so the whole base set is out, but we're going to be talking about that for the next few weeks. So we thought we'd talk about some of the bonus sheet cards, which are the breaking news ones, the ones that look like newspaper, the prosperity news, or sorry, the prosperity post is the name of the newspaper.
The
Um,
ones that are very cool. I like
yeah,
these a lot.
I like them a lot as well. And I think they did a pretty good job of making them look like the colors they're supposed to be, which was the
Right.
big concern with the manila folder ones from Mirza Karlov Manor.
Right.
Um, so these ones actually have a hue to them. There are a lot of multicolored cards, but just the colors on the card with some of the borders and stuff, I think they did a good job with this. They look pretty sweet. And it's going to be hard not to get a playset of the Thought Seizes if you see them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the first one I need to talk about is new Thoughtseize art for
Hmm.
Arena. Yes. I'm gonna have to unfortunately waste some resources on
Yeah.
these because
Thank God they're mythic, so that's not going to be as hard.
that's right. Yeah, if they were
So
rare, it'd be a real bummer, but
it would be a real bummer. I guess that does go into the first point. We're going to probably talk about this a little bit more next week, but there are a bunch of reprints. Um, some of the reprints are new to Arena, some of them are not new to Arena. So just take stock of your collections before you start drafting or collecting the set to know, you know, it'll tell you you have 0 copies, but you might have 2 or 3.
yeah.
And maybe if you don't like mismatched playsets, don't go out of your way to draft them. So that's just forewarned. That bugs the crap out of me. My Resplendent Angels are like 2 and 2 right now, so it
Yeah, I think I
bugs
have
me.
like 1 and 1 for Splendid Angels, something like that.
Yeah, so it just kind of like, oh, that's annoying. Or like if you're uploading deck lists, make sure that you switch everything over. Don't spend wildcards you don't have to use.
Oh, you know what the big one for me is?
Hmm.
I I have a playset of Thalias, but not of the same Thalias on Arena for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had like 2 copies of the older one and
Hmm.
then picked up some of the newer one, but I didn't pick up the full playset of the new one. So now if I ever wanted to play 4 Thalias, I would have to do some mismatching.
Yeah,
And so I
I
just don't play white.
I bit the bullet and just like got crafted extra. So I have like
Yeah.
6 copies of Thalia instead of
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just, that's the one thing that we are dodging pretty well playing on Arena. Now Arena's old enough that we are running into this issue that before was a positive thing. Um,
Yeah.
but it will be interesting. We did get the full set. Actually, we're going to talk about that next week. I'm not even going to get into it. Um, so Jeff, we have some. Let's talk about reprints. Like we're already kind of on the reprint train.
Yeah,
we have some reprints that are coming to Arena for the first time, but are reprints to Magic's history.
right.
Um, we had mentioned a couple last week. Things like Torpor Orb is coming to Standard,
Hmm.
which will probably not do anything. I don't know. Do you?
So, yeah, I think Torpor Orb, the history of it is that it's like they've printed a lot of effects that do this, mostly on
Mhm,
creatures now. But this is something we see all the time. And they've also recently in Standard been moving away from basically they got caught in this vortex where a creature had to have an ETB to be even playable and
yeah.
constructed. And they've found good ways out of that
Hmm.
because like that's just a bad design spot to be in where
Yeah.
anything you want to be powered has to have an ETB. And so they're moving towards, for example, Shieldred, which everyone
Hmm.
loves to freak out about, doesn't have an ETB, and yet
Hmm.
I think most people would say it's constructed playable.
Yeah.
So Torpor Orb being introduced in standard now seems totally fine. It's like something we've had access to. It hasn't been super busted.
Hmm.
It's just like a sideboard card now.
Yeah.
Um,
So, if you don't know, Orb is a 2 mana artifact that just has the text like creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Um,
yes.
I kind of wonder if I want to play this in the Skelly's deck, the Skeletons deck,
Hmm.
just for the sole purpose that you can turn 2 Torpor Orb, turn 3, play the dog skeleton that doesn't give them dogs. You know, the
Right.
disguise one that has Menace, the 6/2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're doing the like strict proctor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd probably be terrible, but if you have the like, I don't know how many other cards like would be helpful. Like, I don't know, maybe my opponent doesn't get a couple map tokens or something. It turns off their bats. That's kind of all right, but not necessarily a slam dunk. But that's my first idea
Yeah.
that maybe it fits into my janky skeletons deck. Maybe one copy for fun.
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
feel like we have to build skeleton kindred now. Like,
Well, we have some great skeletons. There's a card we actually, well, we're talking about skeletons now, but we're going to be talking about skeletons next week and the week after, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure. So stay tuned for that. That's probably the first deck I'm
That's
building.
a hint. That's yeah.
Hint to
A
the
little
future.
sneak preview of the next I don't know how many episodes before a new set comes out. Four?
Four?
Do you think there's gonna be four Outlaws of
Four
Thunder Junction episodes?
episodes. No, no, it's very, very soon.
Yeah.
Um,
You think only two?
only
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
So it still feels soon. I mean, we have like a bunch of the cards, so we're getting it now. We're coming into that point where it feels like we're just kind of brewing, but you can't really do anything,
Yeah.
which is a
My
little bit
least
awkward.
favorite period in Magic.
I know the one right before the set comes out, where
Yeah.
you already know everything. Um, but anyway, Jeff, what are some of the reprinted cards that seem kind of exciting to you that might be interested either in standard because we're getting some in standard slash once again reminder that all the breaking news cards will not be legal in standard. However, the cards like Torpor Orb, which are in the big score, the vault icon, those are
Yeah.
legal in standard. Ugh, confusing as hell.
Yeah, I think the one that jumps out to me of new to arena cards is Reanimate. Um,
Hmm.
there's literally a whole archetype that I love called Reanimator, and it comes from this card's name that started the whole thing.
Hmm.
And Reanimate, for those who don't know, is a sorcery for a single black mana. It says put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. This thing costs what, 4 mana by today's game design principles?
Yeah, about
Like,
yeah.
um, because it has a downside. Like usually you'll get this effect for 5 mana at sorcery with like a mild upside of put a +1/+1 counter on it or something like that.
Yeah,
So
or make it so it can't block.
yeah, right.
Right from the last set that we just got. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah. But so this is an
sorry.
absurd rate, and I don't know exactly when this was printed, but I think it might have been alpha. Like, is this might have been an
I
OG?
let me check that. I Don't know that for sure. Um, but it is obviously a fan favorite that
But
I
yeah, game
also love.
plan is discard some outrageously large thing
Hmm.
through whatever means necessary. I've even I've played this in Cube
Hmm.
where I was on the draw and I just passed without playing a land turn one in order to go to the cleanup step and discard a Gristlebrand. Of course, that is basically a giant signal to my opponent.
That
I
you're
have
gonna.
reanimated my hand.
Hmm.
Can you do anything about it? They could not, and I won that game.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the degree to which you will go to discarding a fatty to play with this card. But this is a great card. I don't think it's too strong. Like, there
Hmm.
are so many graveyard hate, so many powerful graveyard hate cards in available now,
Hmm.
especially in if you look through all of Timeless's options. So adding this to Timeless feels like if Reanimator ever has a shot at being a deck, it needs it
The
needs this
best,
power.
the
It needs
absolute
this,
best. Yeah.
right? Because
Uh,
you can't mess around with like Unburial Rights. It's just too expensive and
yeah.
too slow. So
Yeah. And
you
Burial
really
Rice
need
is
it. You need
really
this.
slow.
You
The.
need those turn one or turn two wins
Hmm.
where you're catching decks off guard. I
Hmm.
mean, everyone plays Deathrite Shaman, right? So the hope of discarding a card and then reanimating it on a future turn is so slim because
Yeah.
the shaman's just going to eat the card you discard.
Exactly. So, this card from Tempest is
Not even close to alpha.
not even. Well, I mean, like it's still old as hell, but
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. If he could just bring us a new archetype in Timeless, that's all gravy to me. Like just a
And I don't
new
think the
deck.
archetype will be tier one. I think
Yeah.
it, but if we get like a tier two reanimator deck, like, hey, sometimes you're gonna get Dark Ritual, turn one, Dark Ritual, discard fatty,
Hmm.
reanimate him. I just don't know that I'm not sure even sure which fatty we reanimate at the moment, but um,
Yeah, I don't know. That
whether
would be.
that's Traxa, but Traxa's not that good on turn one, right?
It's
So
true. Because then you're just. Yeah. I guess you're still. It's still a big fatty.
Ulamog's not that good on turn one because they don't
Yeah.
have anything to
To
exile.
blow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then they just make you they go Dark Ritual Liliana, you
Yeah,
sack a
you sacrifice.
creature.
Yeah, and then you just are down. You just
Yeah.
lost a bunch of life, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
you're down a lot of
like
life.
yeah, like whatever 12 or something. Um, yeah, we'll have to figure out. But whatever cards you're interested in reanimating with Reanimator, tell us in our Discord.
Yeah, let us
Um,
know. Let us know.
yeah, because we'd love to know, as well as Stoneforge Mystic is coming to Arena, which I had mentioned quickly, I think last week, but then I was swiftly reminded on Twitter that we don't really have any of the pieces that make it super exciting. Um, if you don't know, Stoneforge Mystic is one and white for a 1/2 core artificer. And when it enters the battlefield, you get to search your library for an equipment card and then put it into your hand. And then Stoneforge Mystic says one and white, tap it, and you put an artifact card from your hand onto the battlefield. Normally, this is to go tutor up things like Umezawa's Jitte. They're also using is it Batterskull as well as da, 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 Cauldra Complete,
Mhm.
the one from Modern Horizons. We don't have any of those good equipment on Arena, and so now we have this sweet card that helps us go tutor up whatever equipment we want. But I'm lacking exactly which equipment we should be go getting, so we'll uh, we'll have to see. We
So
also
there
don't
was a
have.
standard set or deck
Oh
that played this, and
yeah,
it often just went to get swords. So it'd be like sword of what and what. And
yeah. I mean that was the main thing I was thinking. Um, Sword of Fire and Ice is probably the one that we're interested in. Though I guess maybe not anymore. I'm not super sure, but one of the swords seems probably fun. But we don't
maybe
have
wealth
all of
and
them.
power.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there is a new one we could talk about. Um,
Uh,
But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah, I think Stoneforge Mystic is one of those cards that's cool to have on Arena because now anytime they print a powerful
mhm,
equipment, you're like, oh, does this get it there?
mhm.
Like even if it doesn't, make an impact out the gate, it's one of those cards where you're just constantly like excited by a new
The new
printing.
thing. Exactly. It's the same thing with reanimate, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, is this the fatty that's going to help
Is
us or
this the
whatever?
fatty that gets us
Hmm.
there? Like right
And
now we're reanimating a stupid I don't know, 7/7 and then passing the turn and hoping that's good enough. It's like,
yeah, and then drawing a bunch of
can we
cards,
do?
but you already have a bunch of cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Um, I guess you draw a bunch of cards and discard cards to reanimate more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah. You find a
see,
reanimate and you find another attract, so then
yeah, and then
good.
dump it in the yard. Or the other thing you want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but in any case, it's
Or you
fun to
discard a Titan of Industry.
hooray.
Gain some of that life back.
I guess so, and make a 4/4. Like, uh, the funny thing about Titan of Industry is that it always comes down, and I'm like groaning, like, "Oh, this card," but like, I'm never excited to play it. You know?
I always like groan when it happens when they cheat out a Titan of Industry or cast it, and then I just routinely beat it. I'm
Hmm.
like, why am I so upset when they do it then? Because it's just not that good.
Yeah, my decks don't beat it because they gained 5 life, but yeah,
Right, that's the groan for you.
hmm,
For
it's like,
me, I'm
oh,
usually like, oh, don't choose destroy target artifact or enchantment.
yeah,
Just make a
yeah.
4/4 and put a shield token on it, dude. Come on.
Just do the normal stuff.
Just do not
No,
blow up my anvil.
mine's like, oh, you just made 2 blockers and gained 5 life. That's a bummer for me. All right.
And one of them has reach.
Hmm. So I can't really do anything about this. Anyway, um, so reanimate definitely one of the top ones. I want to say
So
it's
far.
so far. I
Hmm.
do think it's pretty cool. There's a fun thing that happened that Wizards had spoiled. Archive Trap was one of the cards, and it was
Sure.
so funny. So Archive Trap is 3 blue for an instant trap. If you don't know traps, it was from Zendikar. It was like adventures and traps happen. So basically, you can play all of them for free. Basically, if your opponent does something first. So Archive Trap says target opponent mills 13 cards, but if an opponent searches their library this turn, you can play Archive Trap for 0. Um, so Archive Trap, really fun when your opponent's like, I don't know, searching their library for land with a fetch or something like that. Just mill 13 cards. Seems
Yeah.
fun, but people were really upset it wasn't Mind Break Trap, which I don't know a lot of the history about some of these cards, but it seems like everyone's like, man, Archive Trap is pretty cool, but kind of sucks that it isn't Mind Break Trap. They should really do Mind Break Trap. And then they showed that they're reprinting Mind Break Trap.
Yeah. They did both.
They did both. And so Mind Break Trap is 2 blue for an instant trap. It says exile any number of target spells, and it says if an opponent casts 3 or more spells this turn, you can pay 0 rather than paying its casting cost. So this
Yeah.
is like Storm,
Anti-storm. Yeah.
Anti-Storm, um, which is great, and combo-y stuff too. So,
Yeah. So if you're tired of getting tendrils of agony out of the game,
boom.
slap some mind break traps in your sideboard. Fun thing is you don't even have to be playing blue.
Hmm. I think this is like a time-honored tradition of playing off-color cards in your sideboard because you don't have to use the color for it. And I want every Magic player for the end of time to look at the sideboard and be like, why are there 3 blue cards in this
Yeah.
like black
What?
red sideboard? I'm so confused until they read the card. They're like, oh, that's why. Okay.
I want
Um,
all of my arena decks to display as all 5 colors
all five
because that's
colors.
really not confusing for me at all. And
Well, that's Arena's own problem where they shouldn't do that at all. Arena should really just let you choose what the pips are. I don't know why this is impossible.
It should have a default option like, hey, I see
Hmm.
these colors are in your deck. I'm going to choose these for you. And I should
Hmm.
be able to deselect some of them.
Yeah, it seems really easy, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. If we
It's not,
want to go down
there's a
that
lot of
road,
stuff they have to fix, and that's not
mhm,
high on the priority
it's not.
list.
It's not. I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes me not want to put Mindbreak Trap in my sideboard anymore. But though, speaking of things that Arena needs to fix, the sideboards. They're still fucked up from
Yeah.
stupid lessons from Strixhaven. Thanks a lot um, for ruining sideboards forever. Um, all right, Jeff. Do you have? There's one specific other card I wanted to talk about in spoilers, but I think you probably know which one it is as far as like reprints that are coming to Arena that we haven't had, and I think we need people to know more about this card.
Hmm. I have an idea.
Okay.
Does it counter the first card we talked about really well?
I can't remember the first card we talked about,
It was just reanimate.
which was reanimate. I don't know. Does it?
All right, well, let's talk about the card that counters that first, and then
Okay,
we'll get to
perfect.
your
Let's do
card.
that. Okay.
So another new to Arena card is called Surgical Extraction.
Okay, there we go. Okay. This is not the card I was talking about, but yeah, surgical extraction is
For
a.
those who have not heard of Surgical Extraction, it costs one Phyrexian black mana, which can be paid either with black mana or 2 life. It's an instant, and you choose a card in a graveyard other than a basic land. You search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them, and then that player shuffles. So this is free instant speed, graveyard hate, also free instant speed. Um, I don't know. Is there like a common name for these? I think they're usually called like surgicals or something, but
This
the
is
card that does
because
this.
this is the card that's no, this isn't the card that started it. Wasn't it something?
Like Cabal Therapy was a
Yeah,
different
Cobalt.
thing. It was like a Thoughtseize, but you could get all copies of it.
Yeah, and Eradicate did it, but it was like you destroyed a creature and it you got all of
But this
them.
is the most famous, I would say, of
I
the
think people
cards that
usually call
do
it
this.
surgical.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but you know these effects where you rip a single copy of a card out of the
Somebody's deck.
game,
Yeah,
essentially. This one you'll notice doesn't give your opponent
anything.
anything.
Mm-mm.
So if those cards happen to be in their hand, it sucks to be them.
Go fuck yourself. I didn't have to
Yeah.
spend any mana for this.
Uh, but this card is excellent sideboard card, and I think they printed this just as like it makes sense to include this with reanimate because this thing is the reanimator deck's worst nightmare because
Mhm.
reanimator decks generally have one really good target that they want to reanimate. This will not only fizzle the reanimation, but also make it so their deck no longer does the thing it's supposed to do.
Mhm.
So this is probably simultaneously a famous card that is a great sideboard card against a lot of things, but is also a bit of a safety net in case they underestimated how good Reanimate would be. Um, that's why I think they appear in the same set. But yeah, I'm somehow a fan of both of these cards, and so I'm happy to get Surgical Extraction.
Yeah, you just play them together.
It's also stuff like this, you need some stuff like this if you ever want sort of a monastery mentor kind of thing to work. You need these free spells.
Hmm.
So, but you can't have your free spells be too oppressive. So, if you're just popping this off to make a 1/1, you can do that too. Um, yeah, just a nice card to have access to. Basically, makes sure people don't go too nuts.
Yeah.
Their combos.
Yeah, I was gonna say it works pretty well if you're trying to play some sort of mill something with Archive Trap, because then you get some of their combo pieces when you mill them, and then you get to rip
Right.
the rest of them out of your deck. So
True,
that's
yeah,
pretty
they
good.
gave Archive Trap and Surgical, which
Hmm.
are like key pieces of the blue black. modern mill deck.
Best friends.
And we
Um,
have Ruin Crab, just saying.
ooh, do you love Ruin Crab? I was actually playing Ruin Crab. There's a Explorer metagame challenge this weekend, so I was playing a lot of Ruin Crab with I took our old rogues list for a spin.
Oh,
Didn't do
love it.
super well, but it was a lot of fun. Um, I had a
Oh man, and we were playing Ruin Crab and Explorer Rogues.
yeah, well, two copies.
Hmm.
Um, but it was
Nice.
still lots of fun. I sided it out a portion of the time,
Yeah.
but no, it was a lot of fun.
Right. So what's the card you were talking about?
All right, well, I was going a little bit wacky with it, but
Oh, I think
yeah,
I know now,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. So the card that I'm excited to see on Arena that like was the biggest like mind fuck to me when I was a kid. I was like, holy shit, what is this? Is Mindslaver.
yeah.
So if you don't know, um, I guess like I was trying to read the actual Oracle text for this, but the card is actually in another language on the thing. But
Yeah.
Mindslaver is a 6 mana artifact, and it's legendary, and it just says you can pay 4 mana and tap it, sacrifice Mindslaver, and you control target player's next turn. So basically, how this decks work is that you Mindslaver someone, and then you control their turn. When it comes back to you, or during that sequence, you use Academy of Ruins to put Mindslaver back on the top of your deck, and as long as you have 10 mana, you can control their turn for the rest of the game. And that's how you Mindslaver lock somebody out of the game, and you lose friends. Um, but it's been too long since they've reprinted Mindslaver, and I'm glad it's back. I I love Mindslaver, and I want everyone to always know what it is, so that when they say Mindslaver myself, people
Yeah.
understand that joke.
That's the main part, is I want people to understand the MTG Rummy joke of
Hmm.
people. Why would you ever target yourself with Mindslaver?
Comboing off. So I'm going to Mindslaver myself.
Terrible combo. All right. I don't know what the rest of the combo is. Combo already sucks.
Well, first I have to have the control of my turn. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what every combo starts with, right?
Yeah.
Um, as long as I have control of my turn, we're good.
Yeah. I predict that I will never play with or against
Mm.
Mindslaver on Arena, but it, it
Okay.
could it could happen.
So we don't have Academy Ruins on Arena. No.
Hmm.
But our trusty friend Seth, also known as Saffron Olive, did
Oh boy.
show a new card that looked kind of interesting that might be something that could help us do a thing.
Mm.
So we're going to talk about a new card, new not only to Arena but to the world of Magic. This is Esoteric Duplicator. This is on the vault sheet. It is an artifact for 2 and a blue. It is an artifact clue. It says whenever you sacrifice Esoteric Duplicator or another artifact, you may pay 2 generic mana. If you do, at the beginning of the next end step, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. So if we have Mindslaver on the battlefield, if we have 6 mana, we can sacrifice it, pay 2 mana, and get a token copy of our sacrificed Mindslaver. What do we think about that? Make Mindslaver tokens forever? Maybe? Yeah?
Sure. I mean, that's a way to win the game.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that they are giving it, not only is it possible on Arena, but it is technically possible in draft. So
Yeah, living the dream on that one.
if you get both of those in draft, you are one. That's it. You won. I think you won. If you can
Yeah.
Mindslaver lock somebody in one game of draft ever,
Yeah,
I think you win this limited format.
you
That's the
should
bingo card right there.
you should get an invite to Worlds for that, I would say.
You are as good as Tony is.
Yeah. And if Tony does it, then I won't even be surprised. Just be
Yeah,
like, classic Tony.
yeah. I could see Tony doing that for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my That's
Yeah,
the
Mind Slaver is a fun
little
card. It
little
was
fun
like
thing.
one of those cards that I don't totally understand as a kid, and I'm just like, that's cool.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know how this works rules wise and all that, but
You were
like,
worried about rules? I was not worried about rules when I was playing as a kid. I was just like, let's go. I control your turn. Let's try to fuck you up as much as possible.
well, I wasn't thinking about rules explicitly, but I was like,
How
am
does
I
this
allowed
work?
to attack myself?
Oh, sure, sure,
Like,
sure, sure.
that
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of stuff. Like,
Can I just like scoop?
I'm sure
Can I
many
just
kids,
concede?
yeah, for your turn, you can see
Yeah.
the game. After suggesting that we play for ante.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should play for Auntie. Um, man. You know what? Arena would be a perfect place for Auntie to be like online again.
Yeah,
Like an anti queue. Anti queue. That sounds like
I know.
an anti queue.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, we could totally like it would be self-contained. People would hate it, but
Well, I feel like the only way it would be used would be to like supercharge someone's collection, like just
oh,
funnel
you're
cards
right.
over to somebody.
From one collection to another collection, but like yeah,
And they
if
hate
they
that. So any rule that could even be loosely used for that, or any feature that could even be used for that, is never going to happen.
yeah.
They won't even let us draft against each other because they're too worried we're going to set up some smuggling ring where we
I
like
don't even understand how that
supercharge
would even
someone's collection.
happen. Like it just seems like such a waste. As long as you make it cost something, we all have to pay. So well, who matters? Like it doesn't matter where the cards go, right?
Yeah, I guess it's just about making new accounts and taking advantage of like the early bonuses you get and then using that to join a draft and it's funneling like passing all the rares. Like it's just like so many hoops to jump through that
Yeah.
nobody's gonna be
For
even
something
if
that's
people are doing this, like I don't know, statistically, is it gonna hurt your book at all? Probably not.
probably not. And you get to say, look at all the new users we have.
Right, yeah. You get to get the Hasbro monkey off your back.
Exactly. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Anyway, Jeff, new cards.
Yeah.
What new cards are you interested in looking at?
All right. Well, I feel like there's one that we have to talk about.
Okay.
So there is a new card. Goes by the name of Loot. And from what I'm told, they are the key to everything.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, this is a legendary creature, Beast Noble. It is Teamer, green, blue, red. It has Ward 1, and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of card types among other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn, and it's a 1/2.
Hmm.
This card is the actual card itself is relatively uninteresting to me.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to play this. I think mostly it's just the art style that jumps out to
That's
me, or the flavor of
it.
this card, I suppose.
Yeah. So this character, Loot,
Yeah.
also very obvious. So part of the all of the vault symbol things, they're called the big score cards. These are all things that were present inside of the vault apparently, or kind of around that time. It's like the aftermath part of the story, the epilogue of the story.
Got right.
Loot, this critter, apparently was inside of the vault that was opened. Now, I may or may not have read the story yet, so I don't know if I have any more information to tell you about Loot. But it does feel so Magic Story to say, oh, we need to go get the loot. And then when you open it up, it's actually something completely different than what you thought it was going to be. It's actually some
It's
sort
just
of Digimon that like comes
right.
out.
To me, this looks very like League of Legends or like
It does.
Riot. This looks like Legends of Runeterra card art to
Yes.
me. If I saw that, I
Which
wouldn't bat an eye.
mhm.
But
Which I don't even know if that's like there's a lot of well, there's a lot of like people saying I hate loot, I think he looks stupid, and a lot of people saying this is the cutest thing I've ever seen, I love it.
mhm.
And I'm definitely closer to the what the fuck is this thing? You know? Like I'm very close to that side. Like I don't hate it. There's nothing wrong with loot, I guess. I just wasn't I wasn't immediately filled with joy, I guess, is what
Right.
I'm trying to say.
This looks like a Legends of Runeterra champion or whatever they're called. I don't, it's
Sure.
been a long time since I played that game.
Hmm.
That I would just never play because I just assume it's not good
Bad. Yeah.
and I'm not interested. And then I would lose to it and just begrudgingly be like, it sucks. I'm never gonna play it.
Yeah.
That's what this
I was gonna
looks
say
like to
this
me.
looks like the Legends of Runeterra champion that I don't play because it looks bad, and then somebody shows me that it's actually a combo deck, and I hate it, and it actually is the strongest deck, and I hate it, and I
Yeah,
really hate it, and I'm just
exactly.
like
That
because they
that's the story arc of this
yeah,
card
yeah,
to me.
because
Yeah.
like they gave that character a busted mechanic thinking that it wasn't going to be busted, and it accidentally was, and then
Yeah.
all the people that liked it because it looked cute played it, but then all the people that wanted to win and do busted shit started playing it because it does busted shit.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly it.
yeah.
That's exactly what just looking into those eyes, I think,
Mhm.
oh, that's totally what would happen.
He, you know what? Looking into those eyes, I think there were a couple other loots in the vault. I think that he ate them. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry, but I'm just putting that's my shot. I think that there were more of this beast thing, and they were eaten by that. It's like they were in the womb and he ate his twins or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it seems. That's what the eyes and the teeth look like for to me.
Yeah. Anyways, the card itself seems terrible.
I
So
don't think
maybe
it's
it's a commander thing or whatever, but
it's probably a commander thing. Like it cares about like you do get card advantage in the red way, and it gets bigger and bigger depending on your deck building restrictions. How you want to build your deck to have multiple different types of cards and whatever. But I
you
yeah.
need other permanents and this is 1/2 for 3. I don't know, it seems bad.
Oh right, it doesn't even do it on its own.
No, it doesn't even get you a card on its own.
It's
So
just a 3 mana 1/2 with Ward 1. Oh yeah, this is really bad.
yeah,
Sorry,
I don't know, this if it drew you a card every turn, maybe.
I thought it drew you at least one card a turn. Okay, it does not. All right.
Yeah, it seems bad.
It
But
is so bad. I agree. Terrible. All right, let's move on. You know what's another card that might be a trap, or is definitely a trap?
ooh,
Um,
I'm excited to hear about this.
all right. So you know Lord of the Rings, right?
I've heard of it.
You like
Um,
it. It was a magic set, and there was also some movies and books about
right,
it, but
that magic set.
it
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
magic
yeah, yeah,
set,
yeah.
most importantly.
hmm hmm
Well,
First and foremost in everyone's minds is the
it was a
magic set.
magic set.
Yeah.
They printed a card that is, we have Soul Ring, we have a couple other types of we have Wedding Ring, that was a commander card from Crimson Vow.
Sure.
We have a new ring. It has the word Lotus in the title,
Oh,
which Magic players just cream their jeans every time they hear Lotus.
yeah. If Lotus is
Yeah.
in the title,
Mhm.
I'm crafting it and I'm playing it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So this is our new Lotus card called Lotus Ring. It is a 3 mana artifact equipment. Already going strong. Feeling great about this.
All 3 mana equipments have been good.
Okay. It's indestructible. All right. Good.
Another keyword that is always awesome.
Yes. It says equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has vigilance and also has the activated ability tap, sacrifice this creature, add 3 mana of any one color, and then you can equip it for 3 generic mana. You could sacrifice your whole board
You can
for
chain them
free.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate this because the only way this could ever get used is in some stupid combo.
Yes.
That's my thoughts on this card.
It's either some stupid combo or you have a pure steel paladin, which is a great card, and I love it. Which pure steel
It still
paladin
feels
makes it.
like we're doing a stupid combo though. We're not just like giving our stuff +3/+3 and being like happy with that.
No, no, no. You need a bunch of tokens, pure steel paladin, and then you can
And you
put it.
generate mana and you're doing
Yes.
it like so it's a
Yeah.
combo kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a stupid combo.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Was this like a smart combo or something?
No,
Is
no,
that
but
why
it's
you're
no, no, no,
there?
no, no, no. It's using pure steel paladin, which makes it a good combo.
I see.
I
Oh,
guess
that's what I was
you're
missing.
doing smart and stupid. I'm doing good and bad. It's a little
Gotcha.
different. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're on different wavelengths.
See, I don't care. I would actually prefer the combo not be good. That would really make my like if I just never see this card, I would be a happier.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I also yeah. I mean good and bad as in like cool and not cool is
oh,
basically
okay.
yeah, that
We're
type.
going to a
Yeah.
completely different metric again.
Sorry. So it goes like smart and stupid,
Yeah.
good and bad, and then
We
cool
just
and
have our
not cool. Yeah.
three-dimensional axes. I would say these Venn diagrams tend to overlap a bit, though. Like cool and bad probably overlap
Overlap a
quite a bit.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Every commander player knows cool and bad go together quite
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah. Because if it's really, really good, it loses its coolness. Because you're like, I don't
Exactly.
want to play against this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It just becomes like mundane. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That combo that I totally didn't think was cool a week ago. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so yeah, Lotus Ring is 100% the I'm never picking this in draft until somebody shows me that it's good. Because
I mean, in draft, maybe just like being able to give all your creatures +3/+3 and vigilance is like strong enough. Like that's a huge effect.
I guess it is indestructible, but I don't know. Like equipment that don't auto equip
Yeah, it's super slow, but it +3/+3 and vigilance means like literally all of your creatures are
or at least 4/4s.
gigantic.
I
4/4 is big and limited, right?
That's true, but still,
It is a good late game card for limited for sure.
I guess I'm so used to like where we are right now in limited that I'm like,
Yeah, well, I could
no,
totally see I could see it going either way, where this is if the format's
either
kind of
ghost
enough about
Fireblade
creatures,
or
yeah,
not. Yeah.
it could be terrible and it
Hmm.
could be busted and it could kind of be almost anywhere in between. Like it could be an in the right deck kind of thing. Um, I
Yeah.
think I would be tempted to play it in sealed, generally speaking.
Oh well, sealed. Yes, I would definitely play this in sealed.
Yeah,
But that also is like a super different story, and it also like it not only buffs one of your creatures in sealed, but it also can help you splash your bombs.
right.
So yes, I would be very interested. Very interested. I don't know if I'd be stoked on seeing this opened, but I would definitely play it because
And
those
then
are
in
the.
draft, it has the classic, like it's colorless, so you could take it early and feel
Mhm.
comfortable it's going to be in your deck, but which tends to bump up cards like this, but it might
Yeah,
just be
but
too slow
six
for a
mana.
modern day format. Well, it's
Like
3/3 though.
I know it's 3+3, but like I don't know, top decking this card is like if you're I don't know. I don't love it. I'm the equipment one too, and I don't love it.
I'm gonna start off with I'll put this in my deck and see. And
I'm going to start off with I'm not taking this in draft, but I'll put it in my sealed deck.
okay, I
I think that's where I'll start.
think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's absolutely reasonable. I'm saying great things. I'm smart. I'm good at this game.
I think that's the
Uh,
dumbest thing you've ever said.
um, all right, Jeff. This is a card I think you would like. So I alluded to this before the show. I don't think you've seen this
Hmm.
card before. It is called Legion Foundry. It is in Japanese, and it's a red artifact.
Okay.
All
I
right.
was looking at this being like, this looks like a card that I might be interested in, but I
Hmm.
can't read what it does.
Perfect. Well, let me read it for you because I can read Japanese now.
Okay. Well,
Um,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Um,
And you
it
sure that's
is.
Japanese?
I am. Yeah, it says JP at the bottom, so I can. I
Oh,
know that
smart.
that's. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so this is a Legion Foundry is one in red for an artifact, and it says when Legion Foundry enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can pay 2 mana and tap it and sacrifice an artifact, create a 3/3 golem artifact creature token. What do we think?
Sacrifice any artifact.
An artifact.
I do like this.
I thought you would.
I do like this a
Hmm.
lot.
It's
And
giving
sorry, it said activate only as a sorcery.
no,
It does not say that?
no.
I like this card.
Hmm. Yeah. Sacrifice a
Mhm.
blood, get a 4/4 at instant speed. 2 mana, get a. Oh, sorry, not a 4/4, a 3/3. I'm lying to you. But yeah, two
I
mana
think you said
tap.
3/3 the first time.
I did, but then I said a 4/4, and I was
But worst
confused.
case scenario, you could play this, kill something, and then turn it into a 3/3 later for two
Yeah.
mana, right?
Turn itself into. It just says
Yeah.
sacrifice an artifact. Yeah.
At instant speed.
Yeah.
It's
So
nice. It's spicy.
this has been alluded to Bone Crusher Giant online.
Kind
deal
of. Yeah.
deal 2 damage, then get a big body later. You could get multiple
I mean,
bodies with this card.
the fact that the shock is sorcery speed is a big deal in the Bone Crusher Giant comparison.
Comparison, yeah.
It's like
But
reverse Bone Crusher because the
yeah.
creature is instant speed.
Hmm.
And then just the upside of turning blue tokens into 3/3s.
Hmm. Or whatever other
Yeah.
random tokens. Yeah.
I like this
Hmm.
a lot.
Yeah. Seems like a
Is
card you'd like
artifact
to.
sack back on the menu? Ooh.
Maybe. Removal spell turned creature generator. Seems pretty cool. I immediately thought of you, obviously, when I saw this card.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, there's no question I'm going to be brewing with this. So
yeah. Um,
great
well,
card.
while we're on that topic, do you want to talk about another card that you're not gonna like, and I'm also not gonna like, and will be the bane of my existence forever, and
I think I know what
directly
the.
destroys that card that we just talked about?
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Um, Pest control. Uh,
Yeah.
this is a card that I I don't like this at all. Uh, Pest control is white and a black for a sorcery. It says destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less.
Mhm.
And then
I already hate it.
it has cycling for 2.
How dare you? How dare you give my opponents this card that they can just cycle away when it's not relevant?
Yeah. So they could almost main deck it if your deck becomes too prevalent.
Hmm.
I love artifacty tokens and 1 drops. What is wrong
Same.
with that deck? We already have temporary lockdown. I
I
don't
know.
need.
I already live in fear of the main deck temporary lockdown. I'm always
Mhm.
like, well, if they decided to main deck temporary lockdown, I guess I'm
I
fucked.
I can't win this game.
Yeah.
So they just decided, hey, you get two, but also your temporary lockdown only costs 2 mana, and if you don't want it, throw it away. Yes, yes, I know temporary lockdown gets 2 mana value, not 1 mana value. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter because the decks I play, I mean it sure it gets everything but my picky
It
Karuna or
matters,
whatever, but
but
like
yeah.
it doesn't matter that much.
And not to mention, sometimes I just get randomly hosed by people playing like Hidetsuku's Betrays All or whatever that card is
Yes.
called.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah. Not a lot of people play that, but sometimes someone just whips that out, and I'm like, well, fuck me. You came
Hmm.
prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
But pest control is really offensive.
Yeah. Like Boros Convoke players like cower in fear
Good thing
at
nobody plays like white or black, you know. It's just not, no,
totally, yeah.
yeah, that's not a color you run into often.
Yeah, nobody
Black.
plays like white, black, blue control ever.
Yeah. Or
No.
even like hell, a mid-range deck could play
Oh,
this.
yeah. Ugh,
Luckily, yeah. Yeah, I hate this card.
I hate this card.
But I do acknowledge why it exists
Hmm.
because they've been pushing the quality on one drops later or
Hmm.
lately to the point where one drops are good again, which is nice. I guess they're trying to give this provide this kind of safety valve to decks that aren't interested in playing one drops, like control, because control basically just sucks now because one drops are so good.
Hmm.
Um, so I get it, but as somebody who's been really enjoying the games that involve these one drops and all these one drops that make an X, like their power comes from making an
Making.
extra zero drop,
Hmm.
it's like, wow, it really gets blown away by pest control.
It
But,
really makes you think like, oh, don't stock up on stuff. You gotta like crack it while you can.
like the floor for this is to cleanly deal with an inspector or
Yes.
right, like that's like the worst this card's gonna do,
Like
or I
you
guess
turn.
cycle away is obviously the floor, but
Yeah, the floor is draw another card.
yeah,
But yeah, because you're probably not playing this on your turn two. If you like turn one tap land, they turn one novice inspector. Turn two, you untap and then play pest control. You probably won't pest control. It's just a novice inspector.
like I'm not sure what your hand looks like where you're doing that, but you
Yeah,
just have plays lined up for the rest of the game. You're
exactly.
like, I could just clear this inspector if I wanted to,
And this
and the
token.
clue, yeah.
But you literally just like wait till next turn because they're gonna play 2 or 3 more creatures and then you wipe them up. So,
Yeah.
uh, all right. Well,
And I had hopes for the red white convoke deck to maybe start making some more waves, but this doesn't bode well for them.
no, no. I think that deck's probably pretty close to over, or they'll have to adapt. Like you can't with this card in play. Realistically, like yes, temporal lockdown was a huge issue for them already. So like I don't know if it's like oh they could kill you so fast though.
But
Um,
before temporary lockdown could come into effect, you could get a board that plays the big 4/4 and refills your
that's true.
hand
And
or
then you
whatever,
have
right?
right,
So,
and because this is 2 mana, like not only can you not play the 4/4 yet, but also like you're a turn off from playing the 4/4.
mhm.
But also, if you're playing like the 1 mana 1/2, where you're not even attacking your opponent, you're just tapping it and making it bigger.
Right,
Like
which is your sort of secondary game
yeah,
plan.
that thing gets wiped up by this, and so you're like, don't any turn spent not attacking your opponent feels like rough. Then I guess you're like scrying too, but come
Yeah.
on,
Okay,
ugh,
what are you scrying to? More stuff that's just gonna die
more
to
stuff
this?
that dies to the second copy of this
Yeah.
because they could play extra because they cycle it
Because
away.
it cycles. Yeah.
Uh,
Pest control's a real bummer.
Real bummer. Yikes. Yeah, this whole the flavor text is talking about this guy Baron Bertram Greywater. Yeah, it sounds like a real wet blanket. Don't like that guy.
Yeah. Fuck that Baron.
Fuck that Baron Greywater. Yuck. Yuck. Um Jeff, can I tell you a story?
I would love to hear a story.
All right, fantastic. Well, this is this is me, a young Magic player, probably 11, 12 years old. Got a box of cards from the neighbor of a friend of mine.
Hmm.
Looking through cards, and I found this card called Skyship Weatherlight. This card seemed awesome. Uh, are you familiar with Skyship Weatherlight?
I can picture the art in my head, but I cannot remember what the card does.
All right, it's fucking awesome. All right, it's a giant, cool skyship. You know, you got all. It's made by Mark Teeden. They did the art.
Oh,
Beautiful.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
an old brown border. It's from Apocalypse. Um, Not Apocalypse. Sorry, it's from Planar Shift. Anyway, awesome card. It's a 4 mana legendary artifact. It says when Skyship Weatherlight comes into play, you can search your library for any number of artifacts and or creature cards, remove them from the game, shuffle your library. You can at any time pay 4 mana and tap the Skyship Weatherlight to choose a card at random that was removed from the game this way, put it into your hand. I mean, people like tutors, you can tutor you can go through, get
Tutor your whole deck.
all the best cards. You never have to draw a land ever again. You will only be drawing, well, I guess you'll be drawing lands from your deck, but you'll be drawing all the good
I
cards
was
from
going
your
to say you're
Skyship
actually only
Weatherlight.
going to draw lands because
Yeah.
you removed all the other.
But you will be only picking your favorite cards.
I have a feeling I know where this is going, but
Well, obviously you get to go through your deck, take all your best cards, put it onto the Skyship Weatherlight. Good thing it's an artifact; it isn't easily destroyed, and it's very easy to access cards removed from the game or in exile. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Turns out it's not, and turns out this card's horrible.
Turns out if
And
they shatter that, you now don't have any good cards in your deck.
it turns out you surgical extractioned yourself for 4 mana.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
But super,
it's
super
super,
surgical.
super, super bad. And then the rest of your cards don't do anything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that story might tie into a new card we have. Um, we have the card Omen Path Journey. It is 3 and a green for an enchantment. It displays Jace, Vraska, and our new friend Loot.
Of course.
Of course, you gotta love that loot. Um, the enchantment says when Omen Path Journey enters the battlefield, you search your library for up to 5 land cards that have different names, exile them, then shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random, exiled with this card, and put it onto the battlefield tapped.
That sounds amazing. This is a ramp for 5. Oof,
Hmm.
ramps you 5.
Yeah. So you pay 4 mana, and over the next 5 turns, you ramp 1 turn each, essentially. Now, this card is very similar to obviously the card I just talked about, Skyship Weatherlight. Luckily, it just
It's
gives you
not as
these lands.
outrageously expensive.
It's not out as outrageously expensive.
Because
It
I
gives
think if I heard you correctly, the Weatherlight puts it into your hand.
it does put it into your hand. Yes.
So you pay 4 mana to go get it, 4 mana to put it into your hand at random. You don't even
Yes.
get to choose. And then you have to cast the card?
Well,
Oof.
you could just go get one card and then it
I know. So it's just like an 8 mana tutor.
yeah, but when you've never seen a tutor in your life, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. And I really like the flavor of like all
Yeah.
of these legendary, like all these creatures are on the Weatherlight.
Hmm.
But boy, did they really not price that one to move.
No, they really didn't. Um, Omen Path Journey. Uh, this is more so. I think in standard, like I don't really see this card doing anything. Um, I don't know. 4 mana, take 5 lands out of your deck. We don't necessarily have lands that being on the battlefield matter. Do we care? I don't know. Get your creature
It's,
lands? I don't know.
yeah, I'm thinking like Field of Ruin type stuff too, like because you could just blow up other.
You could just you only go get Field of Ruin, I guess.
Mirex, pretty good. We have some good lands out there.
I guess that's true. You could, but like, do I want to spend 4 mana to like make sure I get a? I don't know. I don't know. I think that
I
for
don't think any deck plays this
no, it doesn't.
standard, but
No, it doesn't
the
seem
only one I
super.
could even conceive of is the weird like Teamer lands deck with Nissa and whatever, and it's putting stuff into play, but it puts it in on the end step. So can
Yeah,
you
so you don't.
use that mana from the Nissa and
No, because you're already basically you already run out of lands in your deck very early on.
right.
Um, so like this, or yes, you run out of because it gets any types of different named lands. This card obviously can get any types of lands. I think on Arena this really doesn't do much of anything. Um, I'm assuming. I don't really see. I don't
But
know.
also, like to your point, if it were to do anything, it just gets, leyline binding
Hmm.
that instance,
Yes.
and then it literally did nothing other
Yeah.
than exile 5 lands out of your deck.
Exactly. And like 5 lands that you would have wanted, I'm assuming.
Well,
Um,
maybe you foresee this and you just remove your worst lands, but it's like
sure, but like your worst
thinning your deck
five
is
different
notoriously
named
not worth
lands,
for me.
like they can't just be like four forests. They have to be like all different names. So anyway, this is more of a PSA to commander players out there. Don't play this card and go get your like cradle and all your great lands. Your like cabal coffers with your Urborg and all that stuff. This thing's probably going to get blown up. You won't. It's just going to feel bad. I don't know if it's a rite
And
of
the classic
passage.
thing with these cards is like it's only going to get blown up if your opponent cares,
Hmm.
right? They won't blow it up if they see what you pull out and don't care.
Hmm.
So,
And ramping at like the end of your turn.
I
I don't
like
know.
that it ramps one essentially. The idea is you get the one right away,
Hmm.
but it just seems too bad. Like
It just seems like a.
this has to be a commander card, and
Yeah,
even then,
absolutely. This is 100% a commander brawl card.
right?
Um, even in brawl, like you can't use this card. Like you're 1v1. This is
Yeah.
the game's not going
The
to be long
idea
enough.
is literally that in Commander, there's probably something more valuable for your opponents to spend their removal on if they choose to
Hmm.
do that,
Yeah.
or it's more valuable for them to develop their own game plan than mess with you. But in 1v1 Brawl, yeah, no, you can't play this.
Yeah, you can't play this. Also, just because it's way too slow. And in
Yeah,
Commander, if you go and get any good lands, it's gone. Like,
right.
so,
But I think that's what this card relies on is like it's generally going to, because you have 4 players in the game, it's always to somebody's interest to like just develop their own game plan rather than kill
yeah,
this because they're not going to lose the game to this.
no. Yeah, I think play Expedition Map.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of rampant growth?
Yeah, just play
Yeah.
that card. Like, sure, over the course of the game, but blah, 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 blah. I don't think this card's going to be any good. I'm ready. I would love for someone to show me that it's really awesome, but I I don't know if it's a rite of passage for Magic players to go through that hurt of being like, oh, this is awesome, and then you get wrecked.
Yeah. I mean, it is, though. It's totally a rite of passage of this game we
Yeah.
love. And sometimes I have to be reminded of that cruel, cruel lesson, you
Hmm.
know, where I'm just like, oh, what a sweet card. I'm going to build a deck around this, and then just get trounced by.
Something way, way better. You're like, oh, right.
You're just like, oh, wait, I forgot that Fairy Mastermind hoses this pretty well.
And that
Yeah.
card's played a lot in a lot of
Yeah.
places. So awesome. Oh, Magic the Gathering. Well, Jeff, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Do you have this? Give me one last one before we head up to last call.
Yeah, so one big reprint to Arena that I for one am happy to see,
Okay.
but I know it's probably pretty controversial. Is recently spoiled Wasteland. So this is a card. Is a land for those who don't know. It adds one colorless to your mana pool, or you can sack it to destroy a non-basic land.
What? Where are you seeing
And
this?
yeah, I mean it's a desert themed set, and Wasteland would be a great reprint. Of course, they included it. Is it
I mean, like,
is it not there?
I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen
Oh,
it?
no. It was actually mathematically eliminated today based on card numbers and alphabetical orderings. But
Oh,
it was
bummer.
predicted that in a desert themed set that this card would show up and would be great for Timeless because there are certain stupid lands that exist in Timeless.
Well, we got Dust Bowl. That's good enough, right?
Ah, yes, let's talk about Dust Bowl. Dust Bowl is the same thing. It's tap to add a colorless mana, and then you can also sacrifice a land to destroy a non-basic land for the low, low price of three and tapping this. That card is awful. Not sure why this is there.
Yeah, this card's not good. It evokes dusty, deserty times, but no,
I don't hate the art, I guess.
it's cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't do what you want it to do. It spends too much time. You know what's a
But
combo? A Dust Bowl with your Omen Path
with
Journey
your ring, oh, I thought you were gonna say with the
with the ring. Oh, because you get
the
three
ring.
mana?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Omen Path Journey feeds you more lands, and so you can keep sacrificing them.
Yeah, but this is what you do, okay? So you have
Hmm.
the Pure Steel Paladin, the
Yes.
Lotus Ring, and the Dust Bowl. And then we need a way to untap Dust Bowl. But once we find that,
Mm.
we can start blowing up all of our opponent's
Hidden
non-basic
strings.
lands. There
Perfect.
we go. There we go. That's on Arena, right?
Oh, no, it's not on Arena. Shoot.
Thank God
Dang
for that, by
it.
the way.
Yeah, holy
But,
shit. That would have been epic.
nah,
Like I feel like we would see a lot like the tournament last weekend would be so different, I feel like, if we could play that good a deck. But anyway.
um, no, I guess we should talk about a real card. I don't think I hit everything I wanted to talk about. Was there a card that you wanted to end on?
Buddy. I just wanted to give a little shout out, like a little push, a little hey what's going on to my good friend Grand Abolisher.
Yeah.
This boy, he is a white for a 2/2 human cleric creature. He says during your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments.
Nice.
Get wrecked.
Yeah. Hey man, Mono White might be back on the menu.
I love it. Hey, this is my turn. You can play stuff on your fucking turn.
Yeah. It's it's not even just play stuff. It's like
Hmm.
do stuff.
Do stuff.
Yeah.
So this is
This is gonna get me so many times on like anvil
mm,
triggers or like that type of nonsense that your default is to just do it on their end step.
mhm.
And then you're like, oh, the fucking Grand Abolisher. It'll be one of those moments where I accidentally click to let it resolve and be like, no, 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 no,
You're like,
no.
oh shit. So this is a card I love Grand Abolisher. Um like
You would.
yes. And this is also the type of card like if you are the like kind of new to arena player, obviously if you're listening to this podcast, you're well entrenched. And if you're this far into the podcast, you've been playing for a long time. So this isn't really talking to you. But for you who's listening, the friends that you know who you're trying to get into arena, you need to show them this card Because if they hate counter spells or shit their opponent does or things and interrupting their turn, just be like,
Hmm.
never mind. We are now playing Hearthstone. You can't do things on my turn. Fuck you. This is a white card. I love it. Um,
On that, I wish there's I don't wish this. I think it'd be funny if there's an enchantment called "We're playing Hearthstone now" that like lets you assign blockers in addition to this.
oh, and the damage stays on. That's like an alchemy
Yeah.
card. We're playing Hearthstone now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, this card I think is a totally fair power level for this card
Mhm.
to exist in standard. It gives mono white little juice, uh, at least in the sideboard.
Yeah, it's like a 2/2 bear. It dies to cut down and all the things that we have to deal with
Everything. Yeah.
today. Um, but it makes mono white have yeah, like literally what you said. We have Thalia and this.
Yeah.
So
I think my main thing I wanted to point out about this card is this is allegedly some sort of cleric. It
mhm.
looks like a mobster, but I just wanted to say that whatever subject they have, they're about to, you know, they're about to like try to get information from, it kind of looks like. It's currently roped to a giant cactus.
Mhm.
And they're like sharpening their blade ready for the Inquisition.
Yeah, I thought they were looking. I can't see exactly, but the flavor text on the card is on point. I don't know if you read it. It says,
Reading it now, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, right.
So it says, you think because you've mapped the land, you own the land? You own an idea, nothing more. And it
Yeah,
feels very much like this is someone who's like, you know, we get the Grand Abolisher version in Thunder Junction, being like, hello, outsider.
yeah.
You don't really belong here, do you?
Some
Let's just
trespassing
make
may have
sure that
occurred.
you don't come back.
Yeah,
Um, I kind of love it.
yeah.
It's real nice. It,
It's a cool piece.
mhm. Especially because well, I keep trying to get ahead of myself a little bit. I'm gonna pull myself back. We'll talk about this card in the future, possibly in the
Yeah,
Drunken Vorthos. Um, but with that, Jeff, let's go to last call. Let's talk about Ducks, the
let's
beer
do
we
it.
drank this evening. Ducks, you can find them in your local pond. Um, anyway, we rate beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena, but this has nothing to do with what tier you are in currently. Everybody's in different tiers at different times. You go up and down, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't really matter. We just don't want you to feel bad when we say that bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. Bronze beers, you have to throw them in the garbage.
Yeah, silver beers are just bad or boring. So bad craft beers,
Hmm.
boring microbrews or macro brews, that kind of thing.
Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't really drink them again.
Platinum beers are good, and you would drink them again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. These are some of your favorites, and you show them to your friends.
And Mythic, these are the best of the best. These are like if you're looking at reanimator spells and you pinpoint reanimate, that's the Mythic.
Hmm.
Same thing for beers.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, Jeff, let's talk about ducks. This boy, this boy promised citrusy, juicy IPA, tangerine notes, pineapple and mango.
Hmm.
I think it delivered on all those fronts. I thought it was really,
Yeah,
really citrusy, tasty, delightful. I just,
yeah. I
I
don't know
wish,
if I picked out like specifically tangerine, pineapple, and mango like separately from
I
each.
think mainly tangerine, mainly the
Yeah,
orangey kind of tangerine
I got
taste.
I got the citrus for sure, and
Hmm.
sort of a bit of like I get where we're going with the tropical
Yeah.
fruity kind of thing. I don't know if my palate was not discerning enough to be like, yes, 32% tangerine,
Oh, for sure.
14% mango.
I guess like for whatever reason I was thinking tangerine. I don't think it's gonna taste like tangerine, and then it did, and I
Yeah,
was like,
it
oh,
definitely tasted like tangerine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think mango is the mango is one of the flavors that's much like smoother and sweeter and like
Right.
um it has more body than other ones, so kind of if you lose that, the actual taste of mango doesn't really come through in most of everything when you're missing like the actual flesh of it.
Yeah, it's going to
It's
be
such a
hard to
subtle
pick out
flavor.
anything that has tangerine and mango in it. It's going to be hard to pick out mango.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mango is just its own little like it's like your friend in the background. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm back here.
Yeah. I'm making it better, but you
You
don't know
can't really tell.
why.
It's okay. I'm
Yeah,
just here to
yeah.
help everybody else. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Yes, that's what mango does. Especially in this beer. But no,
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. I liked it. I have one big complaint though.
Ooh.
It's like it just needs to be bigger. It
Yeah.
just needs to be more beer.
I was gonna leave the same review. I just needed
Yeah,
this to be a tall
yeah,
boy. It's really good though. It was
yeah.
really good.
I thought it was really good. I want to drink this again, but I know that if it's small, I won't really want to
I
get a
know,
can
I
of
know.
it.
Okay, but imagine it were a tall boy.
Okay.
Where would we rate it?
If it was a tall boy, I would definitely get this again. But I'm probably still saying platinum.
Yeah. I was for myself on the platinum diamond border. I
Yeah.
was like, I think it's tight, but I landed just that side of platinum as well.
hmm I was very, very close. I
Yeah.
wonder if I had like this in a tall boy with another
If it
tall boy.
actually had showed up in a tall boy,
hmm
would it have been diamond? Maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
they might make these in tall boys. I feel like I've seen one once, so we might have to come back to this and make a little
Yeah.
leveling out. But it's right there. It's like platinum one fighting to get to diamond.
Especially because this type of thing, it's like a very drinkable IPA.
Oh.
It's not good because of its hops and bitterness and that kind of
hmm
thing. It's good because of its like is
It
more
tastes.
drinkable flavors.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It
when you
tastes.
have the little one, you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
there she went. Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah. I feel like I jumped into my backup beer like way early, and my backup beer was
yeah,
significantly worse, and I was upset.
right.
It was another IPA, but it was not as good as Ducks.
Yeah.
So that does tell you something for sure. But
But Duck's very strong. I think the first IPA I've had from Burdock, so
mhm.
excited to try more of their stuff. Would get it again, and if it's in a tall boy, probably that's the tiny little push it needed to get to diamond.
Yeah,
But
because
for
also
now,
I
flat.
do want to say that I like the actual art style on the can. This is not the type of stuff we usually get.
I
As
do as
far as
well.
like
Yeah.
it
All
just
their
feels
stuff's
like
kind of like this, and it appeals to
yeah,
me.
has a nice classic look to it. Feels like old timey, even just like the
Yeah,
feel of the
but you can
can.
tell it's, like it's very well done as well. So it's
hmm
one of those things that's like you can tell this is a modern interpretation of the old-timey look
Yes.
because everything's very precise and on good angles and like so it's not like a
Yeah, it feels
move
crafted.
slightly.
hmm
Yeah,
I like it. Anyway,
and a lot of
platinum's
attention to detail.
platinum plus is what
Mhm.
we'll give it.
Yeah,
Um,
which is platinum.
it's just platinum.
It's like
Anyway,
when you're in platinum one, you're trying to push into diamond, and you just like
hmm
never quite get there. You're like, oh, just one more win, and then you lose a bunch, and you're like,
and
and
then
you start
everything
winning again.
resets
And
all of a
yeah,
sudden, and you're like, oh well, what am I
yeah.
gonna do? But
That's
anyway,
that's what
Jeff.
that's what the fight this beer was playing the whole time I was drinking it. It was pushing up to diamond, then it would like lose a match, and then it go back,
You
and
can see
and
here,
then it would fight
yeah,
its way back up to anyway, and I never quite got into diamond, but
yeah,
boy was it in platinum one for a while.
man. Just it needed a couple more matches, just a couple more
Yeah,
sips,
just yeah,
just a
exactly.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeff, it's closing time, and as always, you can find us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
May also find us on Arena itself, username Arena Regulars Podcast.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg, that is Zulberg on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on Twitch. I am Regular Zach. I stream Monday to Thursday. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Best place is on our Discord channel, where I go by Regular Jeff. You can find the link for our Discord channel below in the show notes. And
Hmm.
come join us. You want to talk about beer, magic? Tell us what you would reanimate in Timeless. I would really love to hear that. Get me started on my brewing process.
I would also like to hear that so I could steal Jeff's deck so I can play that myself. As always, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a review there as well. But most importantly, if you like the podcast, hey, let us know, but also let your friends know. Tell your friends about us. That's the best way to spread the podcast. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that fuck pest control.
Yeah, fuck pest control. All right, that's fine.